Good evening, students. The last topic of course unit is Introduction to Kernel Debugger. Before starting kernel debugging, if you are talking about the general term debugging, that is considered as removing error from the program. A kernel debugger is a debugger present in some operating system kernel to ease debugging and kernel development by the kernel developers. In that case, kernel developers are the core user of the particular program that is used for removing error from the kernel. A kernel debugger might be a stub implementing low-level operation with full-blown debuggers such as GDB. GDB is GNU debugger running on other machine, sending command to stub over serial line or a network connection, or might provide a command line that can be used directly on the machine being debugged. That means there are two machines, one is debugger machine and another is the machine which is required to be debugged. Uh, if you are talking about various type of debuggers, uh, the first is window NT family that include a kernel debugger named KD, which can act as local debugger with limited capabilities, reading and writing kernel memory, but not setting breakpoints. Breakpoints are the particular point which are temporarily suspending the program during execution and can attach a remote machine over serial line connection USB 2 or USB 3 connection. The WinDBG GUI debugger can also be used for debugging kernel on local or remote machine. Linux kernel, if you are talking about, there is no debugger included prior to the version 2.6.26-RC1 because Linux toolbar did not want kernel debugger in the kernel. The KDB, that is kernel debugger, that is local type of kernel debugger, and KGDB, that is GNU kernel debugger, is a remote type of kernel debugger. If you are talking about debugging in the Linux, the majority of the day kernel debugging is done by adding print statement to the code by using famous print k function. Using print k is relatively simple, effective and cheap way to find problem. But print statement alone are not completely enough when debugging any kernel code of moderate complexity is there. Fortunately, we do have two different type of debugger. One is KDB, that is kernel debugger, and second is KGDB. Uh, Although not part of official kernel release from the kernel.org, these are other than the actual developer of the kernel. KDB and KGDB has been around for a while and become de facto kernel debugger for the Linux. Talking about KDB debugger, it provides command line interface from which you can run various debug commands. It is not associated with the source level debugging. One can inspect memory, register, process list, and other type of system parts. We can set breakpoints to stop the execution of a particular process at a certain location. It is mainly aimed to analyze to aid in development or diagnostic kernel problems. You can access some symbols by name of kernel built-ins or in kernel modules if code was built with config call sims. The nice thing about KDB is it is lightweight, meaning it does not interface or change the normal flow and timing of the kernel code during the runtime. Alternatively, we can have another that is KGDB. KGDB is intended to use the source level debugger. In that case, you need two machines. It is used along with the GDB, that is GNU debugger, to debug Linux kernel. The expectation is that the GDB can be used to break into the kernel to inspect memory variable loops through call stack information, similar to the way an application developer would use GDB to debug an application. It is possible to place breakpoint in the kernel code and perform some limited execution stepping. Two machines are required in this case. One machine is the development machine and another is target machine. The kernel to debug runs on the target machine. That means the machine which is considered as development machine, that is The development machine runs an instance of GDB against the VM Linux file which contain symbol not boot image such as BZ image, Z image or U image. In GDB, the developer specifies the connection parameter and connect to the KGDB. The type of connection developers make with GDB depend on the availability of KGDB IO module compiled as built-ins and loadable kernel modules in the test machine kernel. That was the particular part associated with the debugging of kernel. I hope you people have enjoyed the lectures. Due to some poor recording quality or video quality uh, can be compromised in my case. But if you do have any query, you can put me your query on WhatsApp or mail. Thank you for your patience, and you are most welcome with your queries. Thank you.